After a couple weeks of grinding, I am back to bring you guys my Platinum retrospective review of Marvel's Spider-Man 1. My last Spider-Man video covered Marvel Spider-Man 2, and you guys ate it up. So first of all, thank you to so many of you guys who are new here. I figured I'd bring us all back to the first days playing this game, as to me, there is not a more nostalgic feeling. I know an absolute crapload of people have had the amazing opportunity to play some of the original Spider-Man games, most notably Spider-Man 1 for the PS1, its sequel, Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro, then there's the Spider-Man movie game, which I actually did have. Well, my dad did, and sadly I was too young to understand the concept of most games then, but that's okay, because when I was finally old enough, I went back into the room to play the game, and yeah, I lost it. Anyways, I can still remember opening up Marvel Spider-Man 1 on that fateful day to just the coolest suit-up scene. With this, we immediately get to see where Peter is at in his life. He's struggling to pay his rent, just like all of us, and I thought I'd break down Spider-Man 1 for you guys in the same manner I did for the Spider-Man 2 video. If you guys enjoy, dropping a like and subscribing is free, and it means so much to me when these videos are able to reach more of you guys. Alright, first we talk about the game mechanics, going over the map size, the introduction of the best web swinging we have ever seen up to this point. I'll touch on some of the unlockable suits, skills, and gadgets that he uses in combat throughout the game.
Alright, let's do this one last time.
Oh shit, here we go again.
The mechanics. Right out of the gate, Insomniac shows you Spider-Man at his core. Broke and wanting to jump out of a window. Jokes aside, this is a sick way to address the web slinging right off the bat. You can swing by holding R2 and boost off your swing by just letting go and hitting jump. This, combined with the web zipping and the point launch mechanic, set the stage for how Spider-Man games should be made. Before we hop too far into the story, Insomniac helps us set up the map of the city, available to us after decrypting each antenna in the following districts. As someone who just got done playing Marvel's Spider-Man 2, this game's map is nothing to look over. I thought coming back to the original game I would be missing something, but in all honesty, swinging through the city felt just as amazing as I remembered. The game developers took their time with this one, laying out backpack collectibles for us nerdy people, landmark photo ops to help understand the city, and even Black Cat stages to spice it up a bit. Taskmaster challenges really set a mysterious tone, as you feel like you're constantly being watched, and we can't forget about the bases and crimes that annoy the living crap out of you as you try and save the world. Quickly, let's talk about the suits, skills, and gadgets. I think Insomniac nailed so many suits in this game. I will eventually be doing a suit ranking video for both games, so I won't bore you guys with all the suit talk here. But my favorite suits in these games are the base game suits that just come with the original story, and then as well as the movie adaptation suits. Marvel's Spider-Man 1 gives us a completely new skill tree where we get to upgrade between the Innovator, Defender, and Web-Slinger abilities. These get better as you complete the game and improve your efficiency an absolute ton. Lastly here we have gadgets, which is my favorite part of the combat in this game. Pressing L1 pulls up a menu to pick from trip mines, impact webs, concussive blasts, web bombs, electric webs, spider drones, and a suspension matrix? Why the hell would Spider-Man need a suspension matrix? You know what? Never mind. As you can see, Spider-Man is loaded in this game and is ready to fight absolutely anybody. Now with all that crap out of the way, let's hop into the story and character review.
Now that you quit smoking, what do you tell people when you come up here?
That I need a break from their crap.
I don't think it's talked about enough, but I think both Yuri Lowenthal as Spider-Man and Tara Platt as Yuri Watanabe, Spider-Man's Jim Gordon in this game pretty much, bring such a huge wave of positive energy. Right away we learn that Spider-Man has been at Fisk for 8 years trying to stop him at every step of the way. To start with one mission and to be able to see the corruption that Fisk has in both the police force and just over New York in general is huge. It makes taking him down feel like an awesome accomplishment, and when the inevitable power vacuum sets in, it sets room for other players to enter the field.
Finally off to Rikers, huh? You know, I think you've got more enemies in there than I do.
If you think this will be more than a minor inconvenience...
Whoop, gotta go. Hey, good luck, Willie. I have a feeling you're gonna need it.
Idiot! I'm the one who kept order in this city! 1 month! In 1 month you'll wish you had me back!
After a great start to our morning as Spider-Man, life checks in and reminds us that we are late to work. Here, we meet our mentor, Otto Octavius, who seems to have our back after just one interaction. I think when we played this the first time around, we all knew at some point this calm fellow scientist would break. But Insomniac does a great job building that ambience and making us players love Otto as a person as the events of this game play out. I mean, this guy is just such a genius. He builds Spider-Man a new suit for the entire playthrough of the game. Right after we acquire the swag suit from Dr. Octavius, Spider-Man goes out into the city to bring down any Fisk bases he can find. I love that this game focuses so much on cleaning up the city as you play through it. Anytime crime arrives to New York, it always is given to you as an urgent task to take down, and it really feels that way. Next, we find ourselves checking out the Feast Center, where we get to meet our favorite character, Aunt May, alongside Martin Lee, her boss. Real quick, I just want to shout out the way that May is written in Insomniac's universe. This character is just immaculate. They nail how much she cares, and that she is always helping and sacrificing herself for others. It honestly reminds me of my own family, and it warms my heart to see a character given so much love. Back to the story though, we learn that Martin Lee has an art degree and an extensive knowledge of history, historical art, and relics. Next, this world brings us a new threat that I for one had never heard of. The Demons. This black and white group pull power from Mr. Negative, who I'll talk about later in the game, giving them incredible powers like superhuman strength, speed, healing, and the ability to charge weapons with said energy, making for a lot of scary bad guys to put down. During a hostage mission, we not only learn of the other demon-based locations, but we also get to meet Mary Jane Watson, who, if you didn't know already, is Spider-Man's second love interest. Fun fact for you all, Gwen Stacy was Peter's first love interest, appearing in The Amazing Spider-Man issue 31, but Aunt May had been harassing Peter to go out with Mary Jane for months, so Peter decides to date MJ in The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 41, even though Gwen was already pursuing Peter. Anyways, we learn that Mary Jane is an investigative journalist for the Daily Bugle, and we get our first mission with her as a playable character. I'd just like to get this out of the way. The MJ missions in this game are not too long or drawn out like most people complain. I actually thought they added a sense of realism and a real fear factor at some points. Obviously, it's not like controlling Spider-Man, where you have no weaknesses and you can do absolutely whatever you want, but I'd go as far as to say I learned more about the villains and their motivations through MJ as I did when I was playing as Spider-Man. I'll have more thoughts on this later. Soon after we complete the demon hideout, Shocker is hired by the demons to rob a bank in Midtown. Now, when this guy first appeared in the cutscene, I was absolutely blown away by his design. This game's #1 huge success was the ability for them to seamlessly switch between gameplay, cutscenes, and even QuickTime events that not only added to the story and dialogue, but you could hardly tell where they were cutting. I mean, seeing the Shocker, a lower class villain, get an amazing suit and story in this game, I knew at this point Insomniac was going to knock my expectations out of the park, and I'm just a huge fan of Shocker's chase mission, as I think it gives us players a reason to really speed up our swinging and try to find the most efficient and interesting ways to traverse the map. Later, MJ then calls Peter and thinks Martin Lee of the Feast Center would be a great person to ask about the demons, considering we know about his detailed knowledge of historical events and relics. This doesn't play out how I had expected, and we get to see that Martin Lee is terrified of the demons, to the point where he warns both Peter and MJ to stay away from the dangerous people.
Demon?
My father read me ghost stories with that mask and symbol in it when I was young. Scared the hell out of me. Peter, listen. That mask, it could be connected to dangerous people. Mary Jane might want to find a different story.
Do you think she's in trouble?
I don't know. Why take the risk?
Moving on, we head back to our job at Octavius Industries, where we meet the one and only Norman freaking Osborn. We see right away that Norman is the mayor and treats Dr. Octavius very poorly and constantly stunts Otto's work to keep him down. They definitely have some bad blood between each other in this game. I mean, this guy takes all of Octavius's work, steals it, then steals his patients, customers, and then tries to steal Peter.
This
is opportunity knocking.
With all this is opportunity knocking bullcrap, Norman is immediately shown to us as a brilliant man with not so brilliant morals. After a quick call, we hear that Shocker escapes from prison with the help of the demons, and this might be corny to say, but the interactions between Spider-Man and Shocker in this game, I kind of find cute.
Oops, guess we're stuck in here for a while. Want to play 20 questions? No? How about we thumb wrestle? Okay, face punch it is. Whoa! Your gauntlets are all digital now, aren't they?
Have it your way. You wanna fight? Let's fight!
I mean, this is some peak Spidey quipping. Insomniac and their development teams nailed the personality and character of Spider-Man in this game, and the Shocker interactions brought that out for me early, and really set the pace for tons of great storytelling to come. Personally, I really enjoyed the bank heist location for this fight, and it made me think back to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2.
Here's your change!
I have nothing but great things to say here, as, again, the development teams went above and beyond to make these fights feel just like a comic book. Moving on from the Shocker, though, we get an amazing mission dealing with the remains of Fisk's army and the Demon's gang. During this, we are shown a new enemy type being the Sniper. Arguably the most annoying enemy out of them all, being that they can almost one-shot you at any point in the game. It gives us a lot more reason to learn the stealth aspects of the game, and here we also get the privilege of meeting Jefferson Davis, a badass cop who has a heart of gold. Together we find Fisk's underground armory and the demons leaving the scene. Spider-Man chases down the thugs and in a split-second decision has to save a fuel truck from falling into the train tracks below. Thank God that Jefferson Davis becomes the greatest cop of all time and saves Spidey from becoming a splat on the pavement. After a long day of crime fighting, we decide it's time to go home and rest, but unfortunately for us, Peter gets evicted. This sends us across New York to look for his belongings and a special spider drive with tons of info and gadget prototypes. Luckily, we're able to find our stuff, and once we do, we craft the web bomb. After the eviction, Peter decides it's best to go stay with Aunt May at the Fee Center for the night, which is a great way to tell May how he's been doing, without actually telling May how he's been doing. May gifts Peter $200 when he wakes up and hits him with the, "You can and you will take my money."
I can't take this.
You can and you will.
Classic Aunt May moment, but what makes this so great, in my opinion, is this scene right here.
Just ask for help next time. Oh, you are so much like Ben. You have to learn to swallow that Parker pride and accept that you're human, like the rest of us. Martin.
Sorry to interrupt. Just wanted to let you know I'm headed out of town. You're in charge while I'm gone.
Well, you can count on me. How long will you be away?
This leaves us with an uncertain feeling of something bad about to happen, and you can even hear the demon theme playing ever so slightly in the background.
Is everything okay?
It's some personal business I've been planning for a while. But please take care of this place. It represents the best part of me.
Well, I guess I better get busy.
Next, we get to experience one of the biggest set pieces of the game. The demons move in on one of Fisk's last standing construction sites as we hear gunshots and head to check it out. This whole section of the game was shown as a teaser before the game's release, and it captures the gist of the combat and story of the game perfectly. We get to see environmental takedowns, the use of multiple web gadgets, and basically tells us, look, the Fisk army and thugs are bad, but it's about to get a whole lot worse. We're able to save a few Fisk workers from certain death, but by the end of the mission, one thing is made clear. The demons can and will destroy all of New York if not stopped soon. I also just want to shout out Insomniac real quick again because I had never dreamed that a Spider-Man game could be so dynamic.
Come on. No, 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 no! Go! Did that just happen? Yeah.
In just one mission, you fight through a huge set of construction buildings, stop a giant-ass crane from dropping out of the sky, follow a helicopter carrying a makeshift wrecking ball through New York,
Hope I live to regret this. Hi, is this the flight to Newark?
stop the helicopter mid-freaking air, and then continue on to catch the helicopter in midair with webs. Like, this is basically the train sequence in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, and then you add the crane sequence from Spider-Man 3. The development teams absolutely nailed all of it. Moving on, we get to see a huge set piece involving Insomniac's Miles Morales, Rio Morales, and Jefferson Davis. I'll make it short and sweet. Norman is an asshole. At this point in the game, we're almost 100% aware that Mr. Negative is Martin Lee, or at least heavily associated with. Jefferson Davis is here to be honored for his help saving Spider-Man, and not just that, but saving dozens, if not hundreds of people in the process. Unfortunately for him, though, my guy gets kamikaze. Even with the threat of death, my guy runs towards the explosives to minimize the impact, and it sets us up for a huge turning point in Miles Morales' character development. I also think that the way that Insomniac uses the bombs to knock Peter out was a genius way to be able to get us to experience all of these events from our own eyes, if that makes sense. We feel powerless, afraid, and like I stated before, the MJ and Miles missions are not what make this game bad. These characters put our feet on the ground and they make it emotional. We can feel the anxiety of every moment being around danger. Personally, I just can't talk enough about how awesome this game is. After the events of City Hall, Spider-Man is beyond motivated to help find Mr. Negative, and Peter understands all of what Miles is going through, and it gives him a sense of urgency to take action. While on patrol, Spider-Man is jumped by none other than Silver Sablanova, or Silver Sable. I was extremely surprised that she was making it into this game, and I gotta say, I think it was a great idea. For those who don't know much about her, she is a very skilled mercenary who goes mainly after war criminals, in our case Martin Lee, and she even owns Sable International. We learn pretty fast that this Russian hunter is not playing any games and is hired to protect Norman Osborn from the demons while also going after and eliminating them as a threat altogether. Obviously, Spider-Man isn't down for the whole killing thing, so by default they become a new group of enemies we have to look out for. Also, does anyone else have a love-hate relationship with these Sable bases? Like, it's really cool to have tougher opponents, but holy baloney did these things take forever. As the story progresses, we hear the pain and hate Otto Octavius feels towards Norman for stealing his work, and this pushes Otto to work harder and to start to cut some corners here and there. Next, Peter decides to search Lee's office at the Feast Center, as we have no information on how to find him yet. This gives us one of the best moments in the game. After being caught red-handed, snooping around his belongings, Martin Lee confronts Peter in the most uncomfortable way possible.
Hello, Peter.
Mr. Lee. I thought you were out of town.
Did you find what you were looking for?
Martin, you're back.
Let me get that.
Thank you.
And heading off again shortly, I'm afraid. Just needed a few things from my office.
You must have heard about City Hall.
Yes. Tragic.
Peter was there. He was very lucky.
At an Osborn rally. I didn't know you were a fan. Well, what matters is you are both safe.
Amen.
But the bombers are still out there. Who knows what they've planned next?
I don't think you or May have anything to worry about. As long as you stay away from places you're not supposed to be. Well, I should go.
When will you be back?
When my work is done.
When we try to follow Lee out of Feast, we are then jumped by some goon bystanders. Alright, if you guys watched my Platinum review of Marvel's Spider-Man 2, you will know how much I love this next character, and it's none other than Tombstone. The missions leading up to the eventual takedown of this guy were so much fun. For those who don't know this character, or maybe have seen him, but really don't know much about him, here's the rundown. Lonnie Lincoln was born an African-American albino, and grew up in Harlem, New York City, alongside his friend Robbie Robertson. Some of you may know Robbie from his time at the Daily Bugle, working with the famous J. Jonah Jameson, as he is even in the new Marvel Spider-Man 2 game too. In his early days, he commits a murder trying to get into the crime empire, and Robbie bears witness to this. Lincoln coerces Robbie to never tell anyone about what happened, and later is paid off to be the Kingpin's main assassin. Lincoln undergoes an experimental gas treatment that left him with superpowers like super strength, and his main power, invulnerability. Yes, you heard that right.
Damn it! I said I'll fix it!
You got some stones, Rick. Let's see if they break. Such a disappointment.
This guy shoots himself in the face, point blank, and it doesn't even leave a scratch on him. Every appearance this character has had in media has always scared me growing up, and I think the voice actor, Corey Jones, killed his role as the gang leader Tombstone. And I mean, when you give a 6'7" muscle monster invulnerability to the point where he can't even feel Spider-Man's full force punches, you've got yourself a huge problem. Getting back to the demons, the story picks up pace as we learn about the new chemical compound called GR27. This chemical was originally developed by Norman Osborn back in the early 1980s, as initial tests on rats showed that the chemical could actually cure any disease, including cancers. But there were a few big downfalls. It would tear the host body apart before it could even heal it. And not only that, they realized that it was highly contagious once contracted. One mouse was infected, and it ended up killing all test subjects within a week, causing the scientists working on it to give it the name Devil's Breath. We learned that Sable are going after all scientists who worked on, or at least knew about the project, likely acting in the interest of their new boss, Norman Osborn. We also get a lead that the Demon Gang are pursuing a Dr. Isaac Delaney. With this knowledge, we head into Empire State University for another amazing mission. The reason this mission stands out so well to me is because we get to see so many comic-accurate versions of the villains, with it being a Halloween costume party. Of course, we show up in our own costume to make a splash, but just walking around taking in the crowd and the lights was a great time.
Some of your nemesises? We gotta fight.
Maybe later.
Oh, what's the matter, Spider-Wimp? You afraid of my mighty horn?
Hey, who?
After getting bullied by some haters, we eventually get down to business and we find Dr. Delaney. The only problem is, the demons found him first. I'll just let y'all watch because this might be one of the coldest villain moments I've ever seen.
Show's over, Lee. Apparently the show's not over.
His name, Dr. Morgan Michaels. Thank you.
No!
As you can see, it becomes a race against time to find Dr. Morgan Michaels, as he is the only sample of Devil's Breath kept handcuffed to him at all times. We jump back to Octavius Industries as we see my absolute favorite cutscene of the entire game.
Call that a mild success.
I call that unbelievable.
Dude, this is just jaw-dropping storytelling. And I mean the payoff here. We feel so incredibly proud of what Otto has been able to do with the worst possible circumstances. But it's the degenerative neurological disorder that makes us feel for the man. Otto has dedicated his entire life to helping others and inventing to make the lives of his peers better. And now in this situation, he feels helpless and hopeless.
My doctors call it a degenerative neurological disorder. Probably caused by overexposure to toxic chemicals in my reckless youth.
Sorry, is there anything I can do?
You already are. The worst part is, it only affects the muscles. The mind continues to work, but it can no longer do.
The more time that we spend with Otto, the more insight into how Norman and Otto became friends and colleagues, and it's a bittersweet moment that says so much about the two characters. Peter tries his best to reassure Otto about the prognosis, telling him that everything he needs to create change is in his mind and that his brains and his integrity is why he came to work for him in the first place. Just amazing writing, man. Next, I want to talk about another character that I think is written to perfection. Taskmaster. Now, if any of you guys have seen The Black Widow, you should know that was just not Taskmaster, man. Anthony Masters was introduced back in May of 1980 in the Avengers issue 195. And yes, you heard that right. He was originally a villain set up to fight against the Avengers. That is how dangerous this guy is. Writers debate to this day if he actually has real superpowers or if it was just his wit. But one thing is for sure. If Taskmaster sees you do anything, he can replicate that same move to a T, superpowers or not. My main problem and gripe with Taskmaster in the MCU is the lack of her actual character. I have no problem with Marvel changing him to a her, but Taskmaster is known from the comics to be making lots of money and talking a lot of trash while doing it. I think Insomniac nailed the portrayal of him in this universe, and it's a shame the MCU couldn't have used this as inspiration to get a better adapted character. Before we get back into the action though, we catch up with Miles on his first day at the Feast Center. There is a very harsh but realistic scenario that plays out here, and I thought it added a great deal of heart to not only Miles' experience so far, but I think it also elevates everything happening around him. It shows us that you never truly know what people around you are going through, and it speaks volumes to the character of both Peter and Aunt May. Their infectious positivity is so refreshing, and it reminded me to keep this in my mind and to be more caring to others, even if it's just a small interaction. After cleaning up Sable's sloppy work, we zip into action to save both Dr. Morgan Michaels and Devil's Breath. This section really has some exciting set pieces, and when we finally get to see what it's like to be infected by Lee's negative energy. The use of his powers here are an amazing way to expand on where Martin Lee is coming from and how much hatred he has for Norman. I love the use of the masks and his whole demon persona. Eventually, we're able to and use every ounce of strength to save as many civilians as possible. When Spidey wakes up, we are left empty-handed yet again. Luckily, Dr. Michaels was left behind, but we are told that it's all about to go downhill from here. With no new leads to go off of, we meet back with Mary Jane as we explore Grand Central Terminal for my favorite Spidey MJ team-up in this game. I was hollering like a little kid on Christmas when I first experienced Spider-Man's team takedown. Like, how is this not the coolest shit you've ever seen? After we deal with the hostage situation and get all the bystanders free, we chase after Martin Lee into the train station. And oh my lord, when I saw and heard train station, the combos started coming back to me. I'm not sure if Insomniac knew what they were doing. Okay, no, they knew what they were doing. Giving us this fighting environment, boy, my blood was boiling the entire time. Such an epic moment for what they make us think is the final act for this character. And of course, I have to comment on the train stopping reference. I mean, how could they not hit us with this? Just when we think the worst is over, we meet the one and only Dr. Octopus.
Hello? Parker! Just in time to celebrate.
Celebrate? Wait. Where are the arms? Oh, wow. So cool. But how did you...
Intracranial neural network. Neurotransmission speeds under 1 nanosecond. Faster than signals travel inside the brain. Never mind to an external prosthesis. We did it, Peter. No one can take this away from us.
Amazing.
And your work on the neural web was the key.
But we haven't even tested it yet. There's so much we don't know.
It works beautifully. Come on, take a look. But fortune favors the bold. It's time to show the world what we've done.
Otto, the neural web isn't isolating your motor neurons. It could be affecting other parts of your brain, your inhibitions, your mood. I just think we need some more testing.
We've got enough! For the first time in my life, I don't feel like a failure. I feel like me.
Otto, you're not a failure. But this could permanently damage your mind. Please.
Right.
It sucks to see such a caring person be tempted and twisted by his own ego. And Peter tries to reason with him for his own mind's safety. But once again, Otto refuses and chooses to focus on the hate that he holds for Norman and lets his insecurities beat the best of him. I think all of us were a little excited to see this character come full circle, but it's also sad because we know where this leads him. This is the point of the game where everything starts to fall into place, and we get some of the best Spidey content that we have ever witnessed. I'm just gonna let this whole event play out for y'all.
The Devil's Breath is gone, but we got even bigger problems.
Rikers?
We have to hurry. Hop on.
What happened?
It was a coordinated attack. Must have been planned from the outside. Every cell block is breached. We're minutes away from every prisoner and Rikers walking right up 5th Avenue.
What about the raft?
Should be okay. It's a Supermax facility. Better security and a separate power grid.
Good. What about the Devil's Breath?
Sable's handling it.
Do you trust them?
Do I have a choice?
Uh-oh. Should have worn your seatbelt.
Okay, looks like things are somewhat under control.
I thought you said the raft was secure.
It was. Let's go. Maybe it's not as bad as it looks.
Love the optimism. But in my experience, when it looks bad, it's usually worse. Look out! Yuri!
I'm slipping!
Gotcha. Hold on! You okay?
Yeah.
Welcome to the party! Just in time for the fire!
Hey, what's your status?
Me? Just trapped in a prison with every criminal I've put away in the last
This is too good to be true.
Scorpion, can you hold on a minute? I was in the middle of a phone call and it was business.
Keep chasing! Party's almost over! How do you like my new suit?
Dashing. Where'd you get it?
It's an exclusive club. kill him.
Good idea. In fact, we don't have to do this at all if you don't want to.
We definitely want to. Ah!
First and final warning. Stay out of our way. Each of you has a job to do. Your debts will be repaid when we're done. Go!
How in the hell were they able to do every single villain so much justice in such a small amount of time? I mean, this game released 6 years ago, and I'm still baffled on what to say. At this point, Otto's character has done a full 180 and releases Devil's Breath into New York City. Obviously, this sends Norman Osborn over the edge in anger, and it gives us a little taste on the goblin energy we so love to see. Quick note here, but this is just so badass and in character that Spider-Man would go AWOL in the hospital, break out just to go back and clean up the city when he got his butt whooped by 6 of his most dangerous foes, and in the process broke 14 bones. Like, this is just Batman energy right here. From this point on, we do everything we can to stop the attacks on New York, but with just one Spider-Man, it just seems all too much. Just after we get done helping the police, we have to swing over to the Veterans Center as we find Aunt May and Miles still trapped inside. The pressure of these missions back to back to back gives us players such a rush of excitement, and it's just insane how well all these characters are able to work together without any of it lagging behind. We're able to barely save May and Miles with the help of Mary Jane, and of course, I gotta talk about that clutch web shot and catch by my boy Miles. It's an incredible moment for his character, and it doesn't feel like Insomniac is like forcing him into the story like I was afraid of. And we get some touching moments at the end of this ride with our new favorite throuple, Spidey, Miles, and MJ. It's hard for me to say that each mission is more thrilling than the last, but this one's definitely up there for me. Otto's lair. Here we get a glimpse of just how witty Octavius can be on the spot, and we get a lot more background on the reasonings for why each member of the Sinister Six is actually working together with him. Again, this is one hell of a job to pull off on Insomniac's behalf, and it's safe to say that this is my new favorite Sinister Six team, hands down. One comment that I've gotten a lot about this section of the game is the fact that we're forced to fight 2 villains at a time. That first being the Vulture and Electro, and then next, Scorpion and Rhino. I understand the gripes, but if you just look at the sheer quality and amount that this game has accomplished so far, how could you not be okay with this? I think it's pretty awesome actually to see the villains bicker back and forth with each other, and we can even use that to our advantage in some cases, literally. But seriously, I loved the aerial combat fight that we get with the first duo mentioned. If you guys didn't know, the Vulture is actually the second villain Spidey ever faces in the comics, and I love the old school banter that he and Spider-Man share.
Tonight, insect!
Thought we had a healthy give and take. Man, have I misread this relationship.
Electro has a lot more of a modern design, but I think it fits very well in this universe. You can even see a hint of his original character design with the scarring on his face. The attention to detail here is incredible. After defeating 2 of Spidey's most iconic enemies, Pete decides to sit down for a quick rest.
I hate it when they team up. Just need to catch my breath.
Alright, with an unintentional full night of rest, we wake up the next day to hunt down the Scorpion, who in my opinion is such an underrated Spider-Man villain. What is so awesome is that this guy is actually created by J. Jonah Jameson. Scorpion is both stronger and faster than Spidey, And really, the only downfall this guy has is his mental instability, just like the rest of us in 2024. But anywho, we get a taste of Mac Gargan's venom, and man, does it take us for a ride. I know I stated it before, but I think the addition of chase missions throughout Marvel Spider-Man 1 was such a good idea. It gives us so much more urgency. And for me, I found it hard to find a point to put the game down each night. Finding a cure for Scorpion's poison also grants us one of the best outfits in the game, the undies suit. Heading back to Feast, we see that May is being heavily affected by Devil's Breath, and from the way that she talks to Peter, you can almost sense that there's something wrong, and she knows her time is near. And that's something that I think none of us expected, nor wanted to experience. For the time being, Peter tells May to stay off her feet as we get sent into arguably the scariest mission in the game with Miles Morales.
Yo!
Oh man!
We're able to score one single bottle of antibiotics, and honestly at this point I just wanted to get the hell out of there anyway. Moving forward though, it's time to take down Rhino and Scorpion. I am absolutely in love with both the designs for these two characters, even if it doesn't make sense how Rhino got so goddamn big in the first place. Scorpion, again, is such a psychopath, and Rhino is just so damn strong that he doesn't really care. He does what he wants. I love that we get to see these two people become their own downfalls, and this is something straight out of a comic book page.
Do you know what Octavius will do if he finds out you failed?
I failed?
Yes, you freak show!
A little forced together time might help you boys learn to play nice.
Next, we move back with MJ and get some more background information on Devil's Breath, Norman Osborn, and a glimpse into a couple Easter eggs to come that were so exciting on the first playthrough. We also get to sneak into Harry's room, as we have yet to see this man one time the entire game. MJ finds out that Harry's been sick and hiding it this entire time. And we also get to slip into Norman's secret lab for a brief minute. Here, we find the real story of Martin Lee's past and why he holds so much resentment for Norman Osborn.
I thought this was just a consultation. Boys seemed ready. I'm not going in there. No, you can't. It's too late. Back it What have you done?
Oh my god. Norman and Otto. They started all of this. They created Lee. I have to get this. What? No! Who's there? Oh no.
This gives us even more reason to sympathize with these evildoers, and shows us that just one bad decision can send us down a path of no return. Mary Jane is able to snag a thumb drive, as she almost gets decimated by Silver Sable and her forces. And luckily, we also pick up a radioactive spider on our way out that is an obvious setup for future Insomniac games. After learning about the location of Norman, Spidey swings in to help. On arrival though, we see Martin entering Oscorp and absolutely pooping on everybody in his way. We quickly take out the demons surrounding the building, and before we can open the door, Silver Sable pulls up ready and trigger happy. After some healthy communication though, Sable lets us in and decides to hold down the fort for us. With all that behind us, we meet Martin Lee for the final showdown. This boss fight builds so much on the previous interactions, and we get to see the maximum power of Mr. Negative. After a very rough battle, we retrieve the one and only cure for Devil's Breath called the Anti-Serum. And just as all seems okay...
But this is the wrong way, Martin.
Useless.
we arrive at the final chapter. With just 5 strikes of Doc Ock's tentacles, we are ready to walk with Jesus. Miraculously, with the help of our Spidey healing, we are able to come back from near death just a day later. Peter witnesses May in a hospital bed, and out of desperation, he tries to head out and find Otto. But Mary Jane, man, possibly the world's greatest girlfriend in Insomniac's universe, but she gives Peter the knowledge and the words that he needs to hear to even have a chance at defeating Octavius.
Maybe you can't. Maybe Spider-Man needs help from his friend Peter.
What?
Peter helped build those arms, remember? If anyone can find a weakness, it's him. Go get him, Tiger.
I don't think I've said this yet, but voice actor William Sailors absolutely destroys his role as Otto Octavius.
We did the impossible, Doc. But now I have to destroy it. With a little creation of my own.
The ambience of the final fight here sends goosebumps down my spine, and it's full of genuine emotion. This feels personal. I loved the creation of the Anti-Ox suit, and the new ability that we get being resupply. Now, one of the very few nitpicks I have for this game is, how the hell is Otto Octavius, a normal person with no superpowers, able to take full-blown attacks from Spider-Man? I'm curious if anyone else has thought about this, but Insomniac nails the other 99.9% of the game in the storytelling, so I'm gonna let it slide this time. This moment right here, man.
Such a disappointment. Parker.
You knew?
I tried to warn you, Peter, but you didn't listen.
You knew?
I won't let you win. This means too much to me!
Not more than it means to me!
The payoff. Just no words. The transition from the fight to the top to the side of the building adds so much depth to the fight, along with all the build-up emotion and frustration that we have throughout the story. The developers of this game put everything they had into giving us an unforgettable experience, and dare I might say, this is my favorite game of all time. After all the hours us players put into this game, the saddest moment of all is watching Aunt May wither away.
Take off your mask. I want to see my nephew.
You knew?
I've known for a while.
I never wanted you to worry.
I did. And I am so proud of you. And Ben would be too. All the people you've saved.
I don't know what to do.
Yes, you do.
As high as these Spidey stories can make us feel, there is no light without the dark times like these. Spider-Man has always had some of the saddest losses in comic book history, and I think this might be my favorite character depiction of Aunt May that I've ever seen. Now, I know I didn't get to cover every single little detail, nor am I covering some of the post-credit scenes and, smaller interactions through the game, but I wanted to give my full, unfiltered thoughts on this game considering the countless hours I spent playing it. These stories and characters mean a lot to me personally, and I'd be lying if I told you I didn't use these lessons taught to me in these kinds of media in my everyday life. If you guys enjoyed this video, this is probably the biggest project that I've ever tackled, and the proudest I've ever been in creating something for you all to enjoy. A like, comment, or subscription is 100% free, and it only takes a couple of seconds. It would mean the world to me if I could continue to make stuff like this for you guys. So thank you guys sincerely for giving me the spotlight, and I hope to see you all again soon.